Hey, so it's mental health awareness this week and the theme is kindness. So the Preston Park Recovery Centre, who are resourcing these videos, asked me to think about this theme for my class. I'd say kindness to self is important in our Tai Chi and qigong practice. We all have a part of ourselves that judges our actions harshly, our inner critic. In our Tai Chi practice, we can find we're scolding ourselves for not being well coordinated, having bad balance or poor memory, not concentrating well, and not getting it right, telling ourselves we should be practicing more. And for some, these kind of judgments were ingrained in childhood or are just part of human templating and not really relevant. So first, I would suggest noticing when that critic jumps in. For some of us, it's amazingly often, and once acknowledged, you can actively soften those criticisms and become more accepting of who you are. And then practicing this during your Tai Chi and Qigong sessions will help extend it to other areas of your life. And as for being kind to others, I recommend this as a permanent practice, not particularly related to Tai Chi, but something that was a bit of a life changer for me in this regard was reading a book called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which is based on Toltec wisdom. Agreement number 1, be impeccable with your word. Word meaning what you say and think, and impeccable meaning without sin. So basically never saying anything bad about anyone or thinking anything bad about anyone, ever. First, again here, it's a case of, I think, of notice when this is happening, and then practice reversing those thoughts or not saying those words, and then see the world around you change. This can be challenging, but I really recommend practicing. It's often that unkind thoughts or words towards others actually come either from our own issues or from a lack of empathy with another who's experiencing their own issues, which have nothing to do with us. Of course, I don't mean repress. I'm not into the idea of trying to change our feelings, and obviously also don't allow yourself to be walked over. We need to be in kindness, but with boundaries and self-respect. And of course, it's natural to have unkind thoughts, so don't let that be another reason to beat yourself up. Just notice with gentleness, and increasingly as you notice, you'll start to catch yourself before it happens. One of the reasons I think this changes your world is that you no longer walk around wondering what people are thinking or saying about you. It feels like everyone's having kind thoughts about you the same as you are about them. You get no energetic feelings of unkindness from anywhere because you're not radiating any out. It's like changing the inner world changes the outer world, and this is something that happens in Tai Chi. For example, as we're exercising calmness within us, it makes the outside feel calmer too. So in summary, firstly, notice the part of you that is unkind to yourself, and then bring that part up to the light. And secondly, make kindness towards others a conscious practice, and eliminate unkindness from your thoughts and words. Kindness might not be something that people associate with martial arts, but the traditional arts, certainly the Chinese art that I teach and the Japanese arts I train in, are very heart-centered practices. We're focused on self-defense, warding off our opponent without damaging them. And there's a general ethos of looking after your attacker and carrying forgiveness for them and not hatred. And one of the kindest things I do for myself is training, because martial arts for me feels like I'm giving myself a gift, and it brings me some kind of magical and holistic sense of joy and peace, which I think we all need in our worlds. So on that note, let's begin. We're going to start with the loosening exercise we did at the beginning of class last week. This loosening in the arms, sort of letting go of the arms and allowing the torso to just move the arms, loosening in the shoulders, and careful not to twist the knees. Just really sinking the shoulders down, making the arms heavy. My teacher calls this one swinging the arms like wet rope, which helps to kind of give that letting go, relaxed feeling in the arms. Okay, so usually also we start off with eagle flying. In my own practice, I've been doing, so the second move in the form, we do moving hands like small heavenly circles. I found I had a tightness in my right shoulder blade, which I've healed in other manners, but it made me feel, when I was doing eagle flying, it was highlighting that tightness, and although I was able to soften into it, I found that if I had my arms in front, it stretched it in a way that just felt like something it really needed. And it reminded me to kind of share with you guys this idea of making the practice your own, really feeling into your own body, and noticing that actually my shoulder blades need this today rather than this. I mean, this is lovely. We're expanding the more expansive, really expanding the lungs, breathing in. But then this one has a magic of its own, and yeah, allows this stretch, more of a stretching round with the shoulder blades. And then practice for our form, it's really the same as eagle flying, apart from the arm direction. So I'll let you choose, or do a bit of both. Sinking and rising, connecting with the ground, feeling the central column, spine, energetic column. And keeping that relaxed feeling in the arms that we had with our starting loosening exercise, keeping that heaviness in the arms with a lightness kind of to the bones and to the structure, coming up, lengthening through the arms, in and down, so like this. Just feeling into the soles of the feet, allowing more of the weight to fall down through the feet, and then lengthening up through the spine, feeling connection with the crown of the head. Do a few eagles. So tilting the pelvis so that the base of the spine's pointing down into the ground, towards the ground. Feeling the weight falling evenly through the feet. legs up. So 5 mortal qigongs. Last week we did moving hands like clouds, so this week I want to go back over that one and do the first one. Go back to the first one. Stork stands in the water. So with Stork stands in the water, remembering to have the weight sunk down and feet underneath the hips, roughly parallel down the centre line of the feet, bending the knees, just having the weight sunk down like with the beginning of eagle flying. So Stork stands in the water, we're shifting the weight to one side, stretching away from the knee, and we're turning the hips to that same side. Shifting and turning. There's a slight sinking and rising, but don't worry about that if that feels like too much. Stretching the knee away. And the arms. Coming out with the shoulders sunk down, just beginning to express the elbows outwards, creating space in the armpits, and rotating slightly like this, feeling a circle here. We're shifting and turning. So the upper body is just being carried by the lower body. So just notice if you're coming to the side and the torso's twisting, just realign and come back. Just noticing with the softness and gentleness to ourselves. And then we have the nose and navel in line. And the hands are remaining in this fixed position against the thighs. So we know that if the shoulders extend around, we become disconnected here. Gaze to the horizon, eyes open. Shake it out. Just going to do some from behind in case people find that easier. Might just want to notice the breath. I'm not going to give instructions on the breathing yet. Breathing deep into the belly. Shake it out. And then moving hands like clouds. Same starting position, and then we turned and shifted into one side, and we're moving hands like clouds. The shifting and turning, they're together. Stork stands in the water. The shifting and turning is separated out for this one. So shifted over to the right, hips facing the right. A shift to the left, and then I turn. I'm having my palms out like this so you can see what my hips are doing. So if you just want, we'll just practice without the hands to start off with. Shift, turn, Doesn't have to be a big turn, this turn of the hips, just as far as your hip range will go without damaging the knee, without losing that structure in the knee. And then the hands. The hand at the top is the side that we're shifted and turned into for starting off with. And then we shift away from that hand. It drops down. So we're shifting, changing the hands, turning, rotating. Shift, change your hands, turning the hips, rotating the arms. Shift, change the hands, turning, rotating the arms, shift back. Remember to breathe. Gaze level. And if you can be in flow and not get too distracted by the arms, trying to work out the arms, just coming back to the feet, making sure we're grounded, shifting the weight underneath the ground, making sure we have a complete connection with the foot that we've shifted the weight out of, making sure we're sunk down, weight sunk down. Spine's pointing towards the ground. Shake it out. So going to our walking exercise, we were looking at balance last week, which I probably went a bit too far with instructions wise, but there's a little bit more I wanted to say about balance. So that feels important, but let's just do some walking in flow. So we're starting in forward stance, we're shifting the weight back, turning the hips, opening the hips, turning out the front foot, pivoting on the heel, stepping down, coming down, shifting into the diagonal, maintaining upright over the top of this foot, putting out the other leg, toes facing forwards, shifting the weight, squaring the hips to the front. Back, open, shift, step, shifting and squaring. legs copied from behind. If you can see my feet in a minute. Yeah. Shake it out. So talking about balance, I was really emphasising this idea of being sunk down, because commonly a struggle with balance is this kind of top heavy, kind of wobbling around. And when we lighten the upper body and allow the weight to be down below and sink down, bending the knee, sinking the weight, it helps with our root, so that we can pick up this foot, swing it forwards, keeping balance. But there's something else, there's actually a balancing within the balance. There's this balancing between the sinking down and having this, so like with the yin and yang, there's a sinking down, but it has to have an upward quality to it as well. The sinking down otherwise could be kind of mistaken for a collapse. So I have like an uprightness in my shell or in my structure, let's say, but I have the weight of myself is sunk down. So here, on one hand I'm straightening my spine and I'm lengthening upwards whilst I'm sinking my weight down. So I have an upright, really an upright feeling to help me with my balance. And as within, so without, if we can improve our balance in our walking practice, we can improve our balance in life. I'm stretching the base of my spine downwards and I'm lengthening up from the crown of the head, suspended between heaven and earth. Shake it out. So demonstration time, following along, watching, doing whatever you need to do for this part of the class. I'm going to demonstrate from this way. You want to copy along? Start with here so I don't run out of room. Stepping out. Moving hands like small heavenly circles. push. Single whip. Squeaky forward. Lifting hands. Pull down. Shoulder strike. White crane spreads its wings. Brush, knee and push. Hand strums the loot. Brush, knee and push. Sun and the moon rising together. Punch. Wipe off. Push. Crossing hands. So we've gone up to push, so we're going to practice that, break that down. I think single whip's quite a tricky one, the following move. So I might begin that, but I think we're not going to focus on it too much, and we're just going to enjoy the bits that we've already done. So, starting posture, heels together, toes facing to the diagonal, bending the knees, spine straight. We're sinking into the right hand side, floating the wrists, stepping out, turning in the toes, shift, turning to the front, turning in the toes, coming into the centre, standing up, lengthening through the arms, and down, shifting to the left, floating the right wrist, holding a ball, turning out the right toes, shift, step, shifting and squaring, shifting forwards, holding a ball, small step, shift, right arm comes up and around, turning into ward off right, roll back and press, push. So from ward off right, let's go over the last bit that we've learnt, the most recent bit that we've learnt. So maybe from this way. Then this is a small turn to the right. As the left hand comes down as we shift backwards and turn, it comes back up into press. So just to go back over the lower part of the body, we're shifting backwards and turning the hips, and then forwards, turning the hips square again from forward stance, back and around, forwards. And the arm is swinging as we turn and So the arms dropping down and then coming back up. So maybe from this view, you might be able to see. From Waldorf right, roll back and press. Again from Waldorf right. Roll back. This arm folds in. This arm comes up. Forwards and press. Which you can't see from that angle. One more. Shake it out. And then push. So here, the same forward stance. We're shifting the weight back and shifting the weight forwards. So from press, as we shift, hips back, come back, we open the arms. And then as we come forwards, we're bending the arms, allowing the shift of the weight to travel through the arms. So then when we reach the end of our forward stance, they extend outwards. It's kind of an upwards, forwards and upwards, pushing into your opponent's ribs. So from press, shift, separate the hands, forwards and push. Check the legs up. So one from the front. From press, shift, separating the hands, forwards and push. From ward off right, so right foot forwards, warding off from the right, left hand facing into the right hand, roll back and press, shifting, dropping the arm, lifting the arm, coming into press, back, separate, forwards, push. Sometimes known as push like an ocean wave. You've got this feeling. Again. Roll back. And press. Push. From the beginning. Begin stepping out. Moving moving hands like small heavenly circles. Ward off left. Ward off right. Roll back and press. Push. Again. Stepping out. Moving hands like small heavenly circles. Ward off left. Ward off right. Turning. Roll back and press. Push. Shake it out. I'll do one starting this way. If you want to start next to me. Begin. Stepping out. Small heavenly circles. Ward off left. Ward off right. Roll back. Press. Push. So the next move from push. So far we've been doing, we've done this quarter turn. We do this quarter turn a couple of times. From push into single whip is a 180-degree turn, which when I first learnt it felt really difficult. But you get used to it. From push, so I'm coming from this way and I'll end up that way. Coming back, pivoting on the heel, the right foot, shifting into the left, shifting into the back into the right, turning the hips, holding a small ball, forming the whip, and then lifting the left foot, placing it down all the way around this way to end up in a forward stance, facing behind. From this way, from push, back, around. Single whip. So we'll break that down next week, just doing the lower half first and then the arms. And the single whip is the end of the section in the form we call the chorus. It's the chorus, it punctuates the form. There's 4 times. So the chorus, it begins with ward off right, then roll back and press, push into single whip. There's one of that little section in the first section of the form, and one in the second section, and 2 in the last section, which is nice. It helps you come back to that space of familiarity, as it becomes the most familiar part that we practice. So it's exciting to get to move on to single whip. So hopefully you'll join me next week. Until then,